What up, y'all? Appreciate you showing up, hanging out, listening to my dumb ass. Like and subscribe. So, the Game Awards. Game Awards happened 2024. Happened last night. And it was alright. It was good. Let's say it was good. Now, the way that I look at it, we're gonna split it up into two separate kind of categories. One is trailers and announcements. One is awards, if you will. The awards segment was like, meh. You know, Hellblade won a couple, Astrobot won a couple, Astrobot won Game of the Year, which is a little sus. But, you know, it's to be expected because like the Academy Awards, like the Oscars, like the Tonys, like all these goofy-ass award shows, they mean nothing. Because what is most important to the actors, to the companies that employ these actors, who pay them, is the bottom line, is that money. Now, that being said, getting a Game of the Year award may boost sales. But if your game isn't selling to begin with, I don't know if a game of the year is going to make it sell. Oh, it's all of a sudden it's the best game and everybody's buying. I don't know about that, you know. And then that's a whole other kind of signaling and indication of a deeper problem with how this whole thing is set up. It's just like I said, the Academy Awards, the Oscars, right? You have these Oscar bait movies, and that's what Sony's making, these award bait games, right? Not so much Astrobot, because I'll give Astrobot credit. It was a good game, blah, blah, blah. Should it have won Game of the Year? Debatable. But it was like the favorite of the favorites. You know what I'm saying? It was the favorite of the favorited console of most of the media and da-da-da-da. So it was kind of, it was a foregone conclusion that it would win. But the problem with the Game Awards and the Oscars, like I was saying, the Oscar bait stuff, is that those movies don't make a lot of money. And like I said, bottom line is bottom line. Now, I know we play games to enjoy them, to have the experiences and such. And that's, you know, that's kind of where the line is, right? It's us consumers enjoying stuff, right? But then it has to sell enough for the companies to be happy. And it has to be acclaimed enough so that it gets awards. There's never a game that does both, really, right? Astrobot, how many did it sell? Last number I heard was 1.5 million. Out of 65 million consoles, 1.5 million? Nah, son. So we could even push it to 2. Still not enough. So it can win Game of the Year, but in all intents and purposes, as far as the paperwork goes, the books, it's a failure. It's a Game of the Year failure. You know what I'm saying? So that's where you're looking at these award shows, you know, and the awards themselves. It's like, okay, that's cute and stuff. You're giving recognition. You're giving them a high five and a pat on the back. Good job, Team Asobi. But at the same time, you're not selling games. So couldn't there be an award for the most sellingest game? And then that would kind of, anyway, I don't want to really talk about that too much because that's not really the main thing, the main crux of the Game Awards. What happened? So there was a couple of highlights. There were many highlights. Like Capcom came through. They brought their stuff. They had Animusha and did I say that right? And that looked kind of dope because I played the old, I think 3, and I hated the camera. It had that old Resident Evil fixed camera. I was like, oh hell no! I stopped playing that real quick. And then they had I was gonna say Otogi, Okami. Is that with the dog with the painting? That one. The sequel. I guess it doesn't have a name yet. But anyway, I was like, all right. So Capcom brought it. They got their stuff. Berserker, I think, is another one. I don't know if that's Capcom. I think that's Tecmo Koei. I'm not sure exactly. There's a lot of Asian influenced games, if you will. But the main thing was, well, not the main thing. A couple of main things. So first, let's say The Witcher 4. That looked dope. Even though it was whatever, cinematic, in-game rendered with the engine, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, well, look. That's not what the game's going to look like, probably. So I'm like, all right. But it's not about that so much, but it's about the mood, setting you up, giving you, kind of creating expectations for the players, right? And I looked at that, what they showed in series the main protagonist. I was like, Siri, I like Siri. And then I like looked at the scenario and looked at the whole thing. I was like, yep, that's The Witcher. That's like literally, that could be literally a side story in the main game, because that's kind of the same heft and kind of flavor as like the Red Baron. Oh no, I'm sorry, the Red Baron, the Blood Baron. Remember that one, the Blood Baron? And then actually that's like the main one that I did. I think I did some other ones, but I stopped playing that because I stopped playing it for a while. I tried to go back and I was like, wait, am I in Skellige? What? Because I went to Skellige. I was like, I don't know where I'm supposed to go, and the mission markers didn't help me either because I'm a dummy. But anyway, Witcher 3 is good. So Witcher 4 looks dope. I like Ciri. I want to play a Ciri. I always wanted to play a Ciri. Even in Witcher 3, I was like, can't we play just her? I don't want to play. But anyway, so that's not the main thing. So, I mean, like I said, there's a lot of games like the Outer Worlds 2. They had their gameplay and stuff. I was like, yo, that game looks crispy. I was like, yo, these graphics, yo, look real good. But, we'll see. It's going to be a good game. They had the humor and everything. It's like, yo, I'm going to play it. And the funny thing is, that's coming out next year. Avowed's coming out next year. Yo, freaking Obsidian is putting in work. I didn't even know that game was coming out next year. And they're like, yeah, it's going to come out. That's going to come out. I guess it's coming out in the fall. Avowed's in the spring. That one's in the fall. It's like, let's go. So yeah, it was a good showing overall. A new Sonic racing game. Had a Shadow in there. A bunch of stuff. But the one more thing. Okay, I don't think people are realizing what's going on with Sony. And they said that they were going to do this, right? But people they're not connecting the dots. So I saw the trailer. They had the little bloop, 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 and then they, I forget what it said, what the translation was, but it's a Naughty Dog game. Intergalactic, the heretic of your mama's baby mama. I can't remember what the subtitle is, but let's just call it Intergalactic, okay? Intergalactic, let's just call it that. And it was a trailer, and they said, oh, it's in-engine cinematics or something they said, right? So I was like, okay, sure. There's plenty of games that said that, and the game don't look like that. First off, that's not a PlayStation 5 game, because ain't no PlayStation 5 game looking like that. Sorry. PlayStation 5 can't do that. That's a PlayStation 6 game. Even though there is going to be no PlayStation. You know what that is? That's PC. That's a PC game. Because they're going to do day and date and PC anyway. So that's what I say. That's a PC. That's the PC version of whatever, Intergalactic. But anyway, what's happening with PlayStation, right? They said that they wanted to do basically a cross-media thing with all their IPs. They want their IPs to go cross-media, movies, blah, 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 right? And I'm looking at this trailer, and the first thing you notice is like a spaceship flying, and then you see the back of the spaceship, and it says Porsche, however you say it, however you want to say it. And I was like, okay. And then you saw she had Adidas on, sneakers. It's like, okay. I think there was one more, but I don't remember. And so I'm like, I know Porsche is not a cheap license. Now, I don't know if Sony paid to put Porsche in their game, which is how it usually works. Like the racing games, Microsoft, Sony, whoever makes it, they have to pay these people to put their cars in their game. Now, this is a spaceship, so it's a fictitious vehicle, but still the name is there. So did they have to pay Porsche? Did Sony have to pay Porsche? Or did Porsche pay Sony? It's product placement, technically. So, with the product placement, that's Porsche paying Sony, because they're applying that technique or that mainstay, that business move from the movies, because there's product placement in every movie. Movies that have a budget, obviously. Product placement everywhere. You see them drinking a Coca-Cola, like all in the camera, like, this is delicious Coca-Cola. Okay, now let's kill these fools. Whatever the movie is. There's plenty of it. And so I'm like, is Sony doing this? Which is it's an indication that, I kind of like it, because it grounds the game in our reality, basically. It could be an alternate reality where Porsche exists, blah, 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 whatever. But still, Porsche is a brand that we know. And it's like, okay, so it's near Earth, or it's from Earth, or whatever. So, we kind of have automatically, we say, okay, this universe exists in our universe, although it be way in the future or whatever, however, wherever it is. But you can, in your mind, draw the line from wherever the game, all the way back to present day. And so there's some value in that, but it needs to be utilized. I don't even want to say that, because that has no bearing on like the quality of the game, honestly. But it tells me that Sony is trying to do more movie stuff in their games than actually just making good games. Now, I'm not saying that Naughty Dog can't make good games. Of course, they make good games. At least good games. Are they the best games ever in the world? No, they're not. You look at the Uncharted games, and they're not the best third-person shooter games. They're not. So, even Last of Us 2, not the best game. It's okay. I think a lot of the allure to those games are the dramatic, cinematic parts of the game, not so much the gameplay itself. And so I'm looking at Porsche, and I'm looking at Adidas sneakers, and I'm like, okay, they're adding flavor and stuff. But is it going to improve the gameplay? Is the gameplay going to be anything better than what Naughty Dog has already put out in past years? That's the question. What is the gameplay? All those things. The other thing about Intergalactic that I think is flawed is that when this game, they said it was, they started production 4 years ago, right? And so it was still, I guess Guardians of the Galaxy was still kind of the jump off, and that's a little bit of retro futuristic stuff because of the songs and the playlist and all that stuff. Star-Lord. And I was watching Luke Stevens, and he said, oh, Naughty Dog made Concord 2. And he said his chat got mad at him because he's making fun of the game. And I was cracking up. I was like, okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. And if you look at the design language of this game, Intergalactic, I swear this is in the same universe as Concord. I'm going to be like, yo, in the back of my mind, I'm like, I bet you they were trying to make this all in the same universe. I bet you that's what they were doing. And then Concord flopped like a flip-flop. And they said, yeah, we're not going to mention that. It's still retro, but, you know what I'm saying? Because if you look at Concord, right, and you look at this game, they look like they in the same place. It's the same game. I mean, I would say the Naughty Dog cinematics are slightly better. I mean, I liked it because I think the lighting was a little bit more, I don't know. It's just my style, my flavors. I think Concord was just... Anyway, we're not talking about Concord, but we are talking about Concord because this game has the same design aesthetics and design language as Concord, which is the super flop. And you don't want anything, your brand new game from Naughty Dog, you don't want anything to be connected to Concord, but it is inherently because of how it looks. Now, I'm not saying that the main antagonist, the protagonist, she doesn't look like a Concord character, but she damn sure looked like a Cyberpunk 2077 character. Their jacket looks almost identical. I think it's just a different color. It's like a high cut with the I was like, really? Y'all remember when I said PlayStation is creatively bankrupt? Sony, creatively bankrupt. This is what I'm talking about. It's like, okay, I understand you're using a certain design aesthetic, but Cyberpunk is still in the zeitgeist. Concord failed. Whatever. Guardians of the Galaxy, not so much in the zeitgeist, but that's what all these things borrowed from. Not Cyberpunk, because Cyberpunk is his kind of own thing. But if you look at that character, you could swear, oh, that's a Cyberpunk character, right? No, it's not. It's this. And then another thing, it's a sci-fi game, supposedly. Maybe some horror elements, probably. But people are like, oh, yeah, space game. It's space. I'm like, it's not a space game. Nobody said it was a space. It said it's sci-fi. And it's taking place on a planet which this character crashes on. What other game does that sound like? Returnal. So this game is like a cross between Returnal and Cyberpunk. No, Returnal and Concord. That's what this game is. And so when you put that in your mind, like, okay, yeah, it kind of looks like Concord, but then you're running around and I mean, it's melee. I haven't seen any bosses shoot yet. It's just the one character that she was fighting. She's jumping off of a thing and swinging her cyber sword or something. I'm like, okay. And I'm trying, like, in my mind, I'm trying to create, like, okay, how is this game going to work? What are the mechanics? Is it open world? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I can't imagine how this game, like, what will make this game attractive to players, right? Like, her ship was kind of cool. It was a Porsche ship, blah, 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 right? I mean, is she racing her ship, her Porsche? Is she going to race it or something? Have a spaceship race? That'd be cool. Probably not. She's going to get a bounty or something. She's going to get your boy Kamal Majin, whatever his name is. I forgot what his name is. He was in the Eternals. He got all jacked for that movie. And I'm like, I don't see it. I don't see it yet. And I mean, look, Naughty Dog is good. Are they the best? Are they better than Santa Monica? Santa Monica? Are they better than Santa Monica? I don't know. You know? Is it like... And this is a Neil Druckmann game, too, so... Probably why the protagonist looks like how she does. Also, side note, but not really. They were talking about Luke Stevens in this chat. We're talking about how certain games get like government grants by having inclusionary characters, females, black people, whatever, right? And so I was like, oh, so they got money from Porsche, they got money from Adidas, and they got money from the government for, you know, putting the lady in instead of a, you know. Now I said this before. I don't care if it's a female. I'd prefer female protagonist, but I don't care if it's a female or male, as long as it makes sense to the story. As long as it makes sense, you know, not just we're gonna gender swap. Doc Ock is female now. I'm like, well, huh? I mean, okay, it makes sense because it's a different universe. Okay, I'll allow it. But when you just do it, just to do it, and you don't really say why, or, you know, it doesn't make any sense. Like the whole Batman, Mrs. Freeze. I mean, I guess they use the same logic, but whatever. But when I found out that they get money, they get grants, government grants and stuff for inclusionary characters and stuff, I was like, oh. So like I said, Porsche, Adidas, government. We're going to have to, when the game comes out, whenever that is, and when the PlayStation 9 comes out, whatever, we're going to have to see how many licenses are in the actual game so we can count. Because that's probably one way that they're cutting down their budget, because their budget on their games is so high, they got to have Porsche pay a portion of the budget, because they can't do it alone. And didn't Sony make a car? They could have made their own little electric spaceship car, right? Wasn't it like a Honda or a Toyota? I forgot who co-made it with them. Nobody remember that car? Nobody. What happened? Nobody has that car, do they? No, I don't think so. Did they even make that car? Anyway, I'm just saying, Intergalactic, while I can appreciate the aesthetic, it's definitely played out. Guardians of the Galaxy killed it in both ways. In the good way, in the first movie. The second movie was like, third movie was like, right? It's like, I don't even remember. I don't even remember the third movie. I remember the second movie, Ego, Kurt Russell, blah, blah. I was like, okay, whatever. Third movie, it's gone. And so was that trend. And so the thing with these creatives, with creatives and with these companies is that they have to almost predict trends because it takes too long to make these games. And so when the trend was hot, they're like, yo, let's use that hot trend that's hot right now, hot. 4 years later, not so hot no more. So you're stuck with a game that's lost in time. You're stuck with a game that's old, that's played out automatically. And that's a negative for the game. They should have come up with their own unique flavor. I mean, I know they tried that with Concord. They really did. I can see they doing it, but it was just ugly. It was ugly, uninspired. It was like thrift shop Temu characters, basically. But you look at the most prolific like designers just all across history, and you take inspiration from the cool stuff that you like. You know what I'm saying? It's like when Ridley Scott was making Alien, he was like, yo, that Geiger dude, the Giger dude, get him. He draws freaky alien stuff. Get him. And that's what happened. And boom, iconic. For centuries, I'm about to say. For decades, that is the design language for aliens. Off of what the dude, he was not, I'm just going to make this for aliens. No, that's what his personal art. That's how he drew and stuff. That was out of his own mind. And he said, boom, let's go. And I'm sure he was, inspired by, the human anatomy, insect anatomy, all these things, exoskeletons, nature and stuff like that. Sure. And so why is it hard for Sony Studios to be more original? That's my main thing. It's like, okay, she's got a Thriller jacket on, basically. Actually, it looks more like Beat It. The Beat It jacket. This Beat It. Beat It. That's what it looked like to me. But anyway, I'm rambling. Like and subscribe. Leave it in the comments below. Let me know what you think about Intergalactic. It's not really a gameplay. Sony has been known to show stuff that isn't quite gameplay. High Killzone 2. And they gave us a tiny bit of flavor of how or what the game might be. I'm just going to be like, yeah, that was cool, but show me gameplay. Show me gameplay. That's all I'm saying. And there's going to be a comparison. They're going to look at that first trailer. They're going to look at gameplay. And I don't think it's going to look as good. Just saying. And it's probably not going to be on this generation. Even though it was made 4 years, it started 4 years ago, I'll give it another 2 years, which is what, 2028, 2029 almost? That's the next PlayStation right there. So yeah, I don't think it's coming out anytime soon. No. And Cory Barlog's game is still, we haven't seen that. And that's supposed to be a Cyberpunk game. What is going on? They're like, Cyberpunk 2077 was really, really, really popular. Let's make those games now. You see what I'm saying? They follow trends. They don't create their own. The only trend that they've created is Team Asobi and Astrobot, which they kind of bit off a Mario. Let's just be real. We've already seen the comparisons. So once again, I don't know how long they can put up this charade of biting. Before it's just like people are like, I'm gonna just play Mario, son. I'm gonna just play. I was gonna say Concord. I'm gonna just play Cyberpunk, son. And if the core gameplay isn't as good as these games that they're trying to look like and emulate, then what did they do? Because they're so focused on story and performance and acting and blah, 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 right? Licensed music. That was another dumb thing. Like, she has CDs. I'm like, okay. She's got Human Earth CDs. Depeche, I think it was Depeche Mode or whatever. And I'm like, this is really going hard on the Guardians of the Galaxy. and nobody likes them anymore. So I'm like, yo, y'all are treading so close to the Concord line that is scary. And I don't wish any game to be concorded. But hey, I'm saying you make a whack game, people are going to let you know. But anyway, I appreciate. Let me know in the comments below. And talk to y'all next one. Till the way time.